They say everybody wants to be happy. So if I could just figure out how to be happy. But do you really want to be happy? I mean, what is happy? Seems like the fool is happy, but that's about the cost of being happy. What is happy? I think it would be much better to be comfortable, content, fulfilled. All of these things are much better than happiness. Happiness is a laughing fool stumbling around, drunk in his ignorance of problems around him. This doesn't sound so good. Some of the things that make me happy to think about, things like new elevators with unique buttons and panels, decorations inside. You ever been inside of an elevator that had a couch and a side table and an ashtray and a cigarette dispenser and a stapler? These are special elevators with mirrors and sometimes even crystal bobbit adorned chandeliers. Other happy thoughts for me, a coat rack that's also a lamp, a coat rack with a three-way bulb, or for that matter, a ceiling fan with strawberry scented blades. I think that would smell about the same as my fan of my youth, in a bedroom. I had a fan, and I broke into the Catholic Girls Charity orphanage, and I stole 100 strawberry shortcake dolls, and I hung them from my fan with strings, and when they would whip around, it's hard to describe the wondrous smell inside that room, but it was much like being on the inside of a strawberry Pop-Tart. Or strawberry shortcake herself, for that matter. How about a dipstick? He's a complete dipstick. But this, a dipstick to measure happiness. I've got one for you. I know you guys like your wings, you like your chicken legs, but how about a chicken with 12 legs? Or a candy that takes your breath away like a snow skiing trip to Innsbruck. You remember that waxy fortune bubblegum that told the solid truth? The low down? A playing card deck with 15 royal suits, 5 types of jokers, and a psychedelic mystery card that must be eaten before playing the game. I saw a kid hugging a stuffed animal, and plush is a big category, A lot of retailers like plush. Let me tell you the thing is, plush, the licensing costs way more than the product. That's the beauty of plush toys when it comes to licensing. So a stuffed mouse that is licensed and approved by an evil global corporation. It's kind of like that witch in Snow White. How about one of those new cars, the ones that get kind of weird in the corners? Or a fly-looking mushroom hat that could speak on my behalf. Yeah, that would be nice. I'm grateful for all sorts of stuff in life. You know, people saying thank you, random acts of kindness from a stranger, such as handing me an entertaining and informative religious tract. Finally, something that I can really dive into and read, and perhaps write them a letter on my new stationery and thank them for having given me such a thing. It's the gift of life. keeps on giving. I'm grateful for many things, like the new Timex watches. I'm loved and supported by my family and my friends when it comes to chili and other stews made in a crock pot. I'm capable of achieving my goals when sober. I'm surrounded by this beauty and wonder in a world built on death. I'm learning and growing every day. If you'll just listen closely to all this, I'm making a difference in the world with my Dale Carnegie tricks. I'm happy and content to keep playing my Atari 2600, despite the advances with the newer consoles. I'm optimistic about the future of wildlife on this planet. I think after we're dead, they're going to have a long, peaceful time, and they're going to proliferate and do very well. It's a shame that that asteroid hits Earth in 20 years and pretty much destroys all life on the planet. But here's the deal, and this might not seem positive to you yet, but when all the life dies out 50 years from now after that asteroid, 5 million years later, there's this plant, and I swear to you, it is the most beautiful plant you've ever seen. And that all comes about after that dark day, you know. I'm living in a dream world with marshmallow pains and sugar plum losses. Yeah, I'm optimistic about the future of wildlife on the planet Earth. And speaking of which, let's come up with some names for these little darlings. Now, if you want to keep things on the up and up, the positive track, you might want to name your kid after laughter. You know, words, names that mean laughter. Some of these are Beatrix, Blythe, Ruth, Charo, Allegra, Fifi, Letitia, Mirth, and Zoe. Now, on the other hand, if you want to go down the Alex Trebek route, speaking of, side note, Blossom has the girl, Blossom. She's turned into a host on a game show called Jeopardy! It used to be hosted by Alex Trebek. There's also this great winner of Jeopardy! Ken Jennings, and he is the other host. He's kind of the daytime, everyday host, and then Blossom, she does the special nighttime celebrity editions. And the thing is, watch either one of them. They're fine. They're pretty damn good. But then go back a couple years and watch Alex Trebek. The presence, the sense of a host in charge. You know, did you ever know the secret of radio back when commercial radio, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s? A lot of times you needed the main jock, had to be sort of a boss character. And he'd play it kind of straight on a lot of things. And then he'd have some screwball members of his staff that he'd call out for what whack jobs they were, you know. But he was the one in control, and he sort of led the party forward. It was traditional leadership qualities. Now, if you want to name your kid to mean something like the concept of harmony, well, you could name your child Harmony, as it turns out. You could name them Peace, or Hope, or Mark, or Luscious, Serenity, Tranquility, or Candy. Yeah, I remember when we were about 16, we were at the Circle K next to Cottage Hill Park, and there was a church directly next to it. They were having some type of a hoedown, and pizza was involved, free pizza. So this beautiful young lady, maybe 16 years old, all smiley, she talked us into coming over to get some free pizza. And, well, there ended up being people's hands on us and tongues, but we did get the free pizza, and we left after that. But it was kind of a lesson, you know. I'd been Shanghaied. What do you call it in China when they put the girl honeypot? I've been honeypotted, but it was a long time ago. I didn't even know that word back then. But much like Tigger and Pooh, honeypots were involved. Now, if you want to name your kid after something more along the lines of courage, let me give you some names there. You could call them Courage. You could call them Brave. Emery. You could name them Hero. Asher. Billy. Justice. Another good one, Floyd. These are words that mean courage. Now, elegance. Bella, Alora, Grace, Harmony, Iris, Olivia. Intelligence. Athena. Now, that's a powerful name. You name a girl Athena, and you better believe it. She's going to be a fat bottom girl with something to talk about. Now, here's a strange one for intelligence, Indigo. It's kind of like the color blue, and, why that signifies intelligence? I couldn't tell you, brother. Other names for intelligence, Sage. That's a good name. Now, Sage could go for a boy or a girl. And finally, I guess the penultimate, well, not quite. The ultimate name is Poindexter. Now, here's a happy thought for you. You ever been playing with Legos? I just recently built a model Jeep out of Lego, and it was a type of Legos that I had never built with before. It's basically the entire set is studs not on top. It's all using the girders and the pins and side snap-on pieces and smooth pieces on the top. Looked completely different than other Lego creations I had created, but it also looked very much like a Jeep Gladiator. And I enjoyed that. It's got steering in it. I sat downstairs at a little card table, and I'd bring this set out, and I just left it out, like a puzzle, unfinished. I'm really thankful to have the opportunity to leave a card table downstairs and just kind of leave things on it. Like a Lego set that's like a third built, And then like 3 weeks later, it's still pretty much a third. But then, you stop by every once in a while. You do a couple pages, put some pieces on. And yesterday, Sunday, I sat down and I spent a couple hours and I finished the Jeep. I was making vroom vroom noises, driving it on the couch, and just kind of admiring my handiwork. Kind of wishing I could shrink down and sit inside of it for a while. It did have seats. It had reclining seats in there. It had a dashboard, but it was just stickers. You couldn't control nothing. There was a picture of the radio, but it wasn't no radio. But sometimes a picture's all you need. It lets you think back to happy music you've heard through your life. It's that moment with Legos, You realize that all these random bricks in front of you have been almost entirely assembled into a nearly finished model. It's like you've gotten over the hump, the mystery of how to put this together and all these little parts and where do they go. It's starting to wind down. You've crossed the Rubicon. You've made some type of permanent transition into a new phase of the Lego set. You've now mastered the instructions and mastered the pieces before you. So you put that baby together, and it just sort of feels like going downhill on a bicycle after that. How about when you put on your heavy coat for the first time of the year, and then you reach in that pocket and you find a roll of butter rum lifesavers? That sounds nice. I guess a few other thoughts to share with you. We'll start with things that make me go, ah. Sleeping in a freshly made bed, smelling the sawdust. Feeling the sun on my face as you arrive back to the planet Earth. People saying thank you, or random acts of a stranger, such as handing me an entertaining and informative religious tract. finding money in all kinds of unexpected places, and then evading the police, having time to spend with myself and my shadow, laughing so hard it hurts while eating cheese. I had a block of smoked cheddar, and I was happy as a clam sitting there. I was eating that smoked cheddar cheese and ate about half a pound of it. Snuggling on the sofa with a loved one while the world burns. Freshly made bread with the very best butter. Now you have to watch. First you need to be familiar with Lewis Carroll, Alice Through the Looking Glass, the stop motion film. Yeah, Alice. Check it out. It's by that guy from that other country, but just search it, you'll find it. Doing something for others while stalking them. Now that's a good feeling. That mysterious clean feeling that comes after taking a shower. It happens every day. How about when your favorite song comes on the radio? You ever been thinking about a song or humming a song and then you turn on the radio and it was there? I don't know if that happens with streaming so much, but back when they were broadcasting at 100,000 watts, I have to wonder if my fillings were picking up a minute volume stream of that music, and my brain was hearing it subconsciously, and that's how I knew Queen, Another One Bites the Dust was playing, and then I turned my car on, I turned the radio on, Another One Bites the Dust, Another One Bites the Dust, hey, yay! We talked about James Brown a little while ago, talked about his butt looking like the Ford Thunderbird from the late 70s. But yeah, that's a hell of a thing. One other thing that brings a fair amount of joy to my life is the thrill of personal achievement on skates. I don't know if you've ever been able to just be skating down the line and then just with one foot kind of pivot and then you're skating backwards. You've conserved all your momentum and you've just sort of done a flip. And that's a good feeling. It's a happy feeling. Having a long, hot bath with all your clothes on, and you ask yourself, what the hell am I doing? Freshly cut grass skirts on Hawaiian dancers. Oh, I love the fresh smell of grass skirts. Chocolate melting in your mouth and candle wax on the skillet. Yeah, chocolate's just melting. Bacon cooking in the morning by someone else, anyone else. Someone that knows how to cook bacon properly, for one thing. Not that microwave bacon. Get a pan. Do whatever it is you do to cook the bacon. I want some bacon, man. I have time for some limp microwave pork fat. Talking or reading to your pet. This is a good thing to do. My Ziggy, he really likes for me to read old people magazines from the 80s. I don't know why, but he loves it. A soothing massage on a fat cow's udders. Now, this works best when it's cold outside because the warmth of the cow feels good. If it's hot and you're down there laying, it's humid, you're on the grass, there's cow poop around you, flies, and you're touching this warm bag of milk with udders. It's not so special. But in the fall, crisp morning, that's a good feeling. That Friday feeling in my pants. Nothing like that. Perfectly cooked steak and a dead vampire kebab. Yeah, stuck him right through the heart with that baby. Threw him on the old Barbie. Dracula's on the Barbie. Waking up before the alarm clock and realizing you should turn it off. Doing exercises with Worf on the Enterprise. Rainbows inside of snow globes hanging on the old Tannenbaum. Stepping on crunchy leaves just before Armageddon. the new car smell of Bob Barker's hair in 1989. Just standing around like no one's watching. The smell of a seafood stand before the ice melted. Putting on a brand new pair of socks while flying first class, drinking free wine, and watching your breath float away in the cold air just like a child's lost balloon. Or getting new stationery and writing dirty letters to Santa. Picking the easy to peel orange from the fruit bowl, and or selecting at random from a Whitman sampler and not ending up with some coconut strawberry mess in your mouth. But loosening your jeans after eating 3 bowls of cereal. Or the pop. That special pop you get when you open a new jar of jam. It's like you're sitting there at Photoshop and the brand manager comes up and they're like, I need you to rework this ad. I need it to pop. And you say, pop? Like the pop when you open a jar of jam? He doesn't know what you're talking about, you know. You might as well be talking about preserves or fig preserves, which are delicious, by the way, and another thing that brings me great happiness. I think back to being young when my grandmother in the country would whip up those fresh southern biscuits out of nothing but flour and water, seemingly, and somehow twist it in the air and have it fall down on a plate and go in the oven and come out these hot, lovely biscuits. Eating them with lots of syrup, eating them with cocoa on the side, in a cup on a saucer, and since it was morning and it was time to eat your breakfast, don't have time for that hot cocoa, you'd pour the cocoa into the saucer and drink the cocoa out of the saucer. The other thing we did was my uncle called it Jethro style, but you would take the biscuits and you'd flatten them, just like a pancake, just flatten them down. And then you would use that to sop through the syrup and butter, get as much of it as you could there on the side. That's how we were as kids. We liked sugar. We drank a lot of sweet tea. I don't know if you know the truth about the South, but the truth is that a home really isn't a home unless you make a half gallon of fresh iced tea at least every day. Now, a lot of people could go through 2 of those. We used to go through 3. Perhaps because we're the kind of people that put jelly on grits. I have no regrets. I will not apologize for it, but I will recommend that you try it because it will make your life happier. And I hope I've left you with some happy thoughts today.